yesterday against Ferrugia, he was down 3-0, and guess what? The final margin was 3 points, and we're off, and it's a King's Gambit.
Love it. I love this choice of opening already. It has given Magnus a very big advantage. He's in a pawn up with a great attacking situation, and I think Andrew Tang kind of he just pre-moved into this, so that this has worked fantastically well. The extra pawn is an extra central pawn as well, and you can attack on the F file. So a very crafty opening choice that's there, Robert.
And Andrew, he used the pin on the c-file before. He could have taken the d4 pawn. So he had the right idea, wrong execution. And now Magnus remains a pawn to the good. This looks fantastic for him. And there's too much pressure going on. The e-file, the queen on e6 is loose. The knight on d5 will be hanging if you take on e5. And the rook takes back, hitting the queen and the knight beside it. So this looks like a winning advantage for Magnus on the clock and on the board.
And you know what I like best? Magnus is singing. Can we just unmute Magnus and hear what he's singing? And me and Robert can just chill out and just hear the great karaoke star in his own environment. That's what I'd like to see. He's got his headphones on, he's tuned in, and he's getting into the vibe here. Well, we might have to wait for that, but this is something Hikaru does. I mean, is Magnus getting tricks from Hikaru? Getting his singing voice out, Robert? Do we think?
Do we know if Magnus, can sing a little bit? I mean, he does so many things at a top level. He's the #1 rated chess player. He was the #1 in fantasy football, soccer. I mean, fantasy football is a very American thing, so let's call it soccer just for ease. But he was #1 in the world in that too, so maybe he's secretly a great singer.
Come on, I mean, it's a bit sickening. He's good. He's just too good at everything. He's got to give other people a chance, right? I mean, you can be world champion at chess, but you're not allowed to be good at everything. So I'm going to say he's a terrible singer, just to make myself feel better.
Well, he has a great position right now, so whether his singing is good or not doesn't seem to be that important. And knight d1, that turned it around because the queen and the rook are both under attack. And you can see on Magnus's face, he's like, ooh, what was I thinking there?
Yeah, a little bit of overconfidence there, and that has given Andrew a good, decent position. He's the exchange up. 5-second lead on the clock, though, for Magnus, and Magnus' position is quite, well, I was going to say quite solid, but now Andrew has broken through on f7, so really good fight back from Andrew.
Oh, what a find, though, by Magnus. He sacked his queen temporarily, and look at the clock. Magnus is up over 10 seconds. He should just flag his opponent.
Yes, he's got to. I mean, Andrew's going to try flagging him enough times in this, and not easy to flag, though. Okay. Oh, look at that. Andrew. No. That was, sorry, I got Magnus. That wrong. He did flag him.
he stole his rook because Andrew felt like he had a pre-move every turn. And Magnus brought his rook back. Magnus was actually going for a draw there. If the rooks were traded, it would have been a draw. So it's interesting to note that Magnus, maybe not trying to shamelessly flag his opponent. You have to go for the dirty flag. But he was able to get the job done because of his lead on the clock.
He was, and he's played the King's Gambit again. This time Andrew was expecting it, and we've got a pretty standard position in the King's Gambit when you win your pawn back. White has the extra central pawn. Lots of pieces remain on the board. I love what the white knights are doing here, jumping straight in. But, okay, the computer really liking the two bishops here. And there goes one pawn. So the King's Gambit, this is Magnus's secret weapon so far.
Yeah, Bobby Fischer used to love himself a good King's Gambit, and another world champion. Decades later, Magnus Carlsen says, I'll do the same. We know he's no longer world champion. Danya also was like, wait, former world champion Magnus Carlsen. It's so easy to forget. But, he just forgot that his bishop could be captured, so he didn't win the exchange. And did you see his reaction there?
Wow, that was just, that was a big mistake. You can't make too many mistakes like that. And even though you say Magnus is not the world champion, he's won the queen back there, it's all a bit messy. He's kind of like the world champion in our hearts, isn't he? He's the strongest player. I think he might, isn't he still Rapid world champion or Blitz world champion? He's world champion at something. I fail to believe he's not. And
the reason why you didn't remember which one is because the answer is both, and he also just won this third game in a row. So he can't stop, won't stop winning.
Yeah, of course Ding is the world champion, we know this, and a very well-deserved world champion he is, but kind of due to Magnus not taking part, isn't it, as well? I'd love to see Ding play Magnus at a future moment. Hopefully that will happen. But Magnus is the speed world champion. Okay, so he's got a nice lead, a massive lead. Is there any way that Andrew can come back from this?
Yes, definitely. Like in the overall match, I definitely believe
you
that.
hesitated. You hesitated.
The reason
Robert.
is because I thought you were asking me about this specific game, and I look at this position, and this looks like a King's Indian gone completely wrong for white and looking great for black. And you see the capture on G4 leaves the E4 pawn hanging. Yeah, this is a dream come true for Magnus.
Yeah, this is a beautiful position. Completely agree with you. Look at black's pawns piling through, and the white king incredibly exposed here. At the same time, I mean, still just about hanging on, but that F pawn is getting very close to becoming a queen as well. Queen's off the board, still hanging on. There's a nasty threat of a rook swinging over in some positions here as well. I don't think there's anything that can be done. And another win for Magnus. He seems to be on good form. Scarily good form.
When Firouzja said that Magnus needed to level up, I think Magnus has officially leveled up. Like, this is ridiculous thus far. 4 straight wins, and convincing ones at that, leading on the clock throughout most of the games. He hasn't been worse in his positions very often, and now he goes to a setup where he has his bishops both fianchettoed, and now the board's opening up for those very bishops. Advantage Magnus, ever so slight advantage, but still, I like the bishop pair.
Yeah, the bishops are looking quite good now, and he's swapped one advantage, the bishop pair, to a better pawn structure now. And the reason this is a better pawn structure is black's pawns are rigid in the middle, and that one there that Magnus is attacking is very weak, the one on d5. So it's very subtle advantages. And one thing that is clear about Magnus is his will. I mean, to be a champion like he is, it's not just about your talent, the amount of work you put in. You've got to have an amazing will. And you want to win everything. And that will to win is going to, after he lost to Firouzja, it's going to be shown in these upcoming matches. And I would not like to play an angry Magnus. Oh.
He wants some kind of he might go king f1 at some point. Oh, he dropped his rook.
He dropped his rook. Wow. He's blundered a rook after I say that. A whole rook.
And Andrew gets that win. But I think what you were saying is true, because when he beat Eric, he was upset that he gave Eric any points. He wants to win every single game he plays. He has the heart of a champion, but also he's got the hunger of a lion. Like, he really wants to win every single game that he plays. I don't even know if lions are that hungry. Like, can someone who actually knows about animals tell us, are lions just seems like kings of the jungle, or are they actually also hungry all the time? Because Hungry Hungry Hippos was a game I never played. Hungry Hungry Lions.
I reckon lions are hungry. They've got to be. They're big cats, aren't they? And I'll tell you one thing: my cat is always hungry, always eating far too much. So they've got to be. They've got to be hungry. And I love the way we sometimes progress away from the chess. It's nice to have a little break, because I get a headache otherwise with the amazing play on the board. And this is so complicated, this position. I mean, the white king looks really exposed, but white is a piece up. Any result possible here?
Yeah, I thought there would be almost a checkmate, but the knights are protected, and there looks like a pin down the c-file, but there's a light square bishop in the way. But Simon, clock and king safety, both in black's favor, and rook c4 picks up, not the d4 square, but this knight on e4.
Yeah, and this is the thing, even though white was probably winning somewhere, if you have the initiative, it counts for so much at this time limit. And now it's equal-ish on material, and that white king is getting absolutely teared apart here. And I doubt it can survive. Is there a killer blow? Just taking the rook, all of a sudden, Magnus is a whole rook up.
Did you see
Look at the way he played that?
Rook h1 check. That wasn't even just like, I'm going to try to flag my opponent. That was the best move. So Magnus, I mean, he really is in charge of the match right now.
He is just dominating the match at the moment. I mean, when Magnus plays like this, there's not many people who have a chance against him. Andrew's got to pick up his game. He's got to get some wins on the board. There is 20 minutes to go. Often these matches go in swings. But another strong tactic there from Magnus, knight c6, and this is simply going up a whole rook. and he won that game in a matter of seconds. Phenomenal play.
And I love this comment from Fractured Soul. This is like watching Messi play. Simply sublime. And as an American, welcoming Messi to the MLS and Inter Miami, that should be fun. But yeah, watching Messi play throughout his career has been a treat for everybody. And watching Magnus when he's in form, it's a treat for everybody except for his opponents, because I don't think Andrew's having the best time thus far.
No, I mean, it's not enjoyable when anyone tries to smash you. But look at that. That is a beautiful move from Andrew. Absolutely stunning vision. I love that. The whole point is the white bishop can check the black king, and then it can pick up the queen in the middle. Magnus counter strikes now, so you have to be a little bit careful. And Andrew spending his time. But that just shows how strong Andrew can be and how quickly he also spots tactics.
Andrew Tang is world class, and I think when we are looking at this match, we will always acknowledge that. And Magnus just happens to have jumped out to a hot start, and he's trying to run away with his king. So considering he lost his queen, but he lost it for a knight and a rook, he does have compensation. He's worse, and now he's going to drop another pawn in the center. But I'm looking at the clock, and maybe black is even better because of the time.
Yeah, it's true. And the black knight has now secured itself in the middle of the board, and the only way that white can probably win this is by using that passed pawn, which he has shoved up the board. But the clock will be important. If it was anyone else, I'd be backing black, but Andrew is pretty well known for his speed, and that should secure the game. Nice. That was a brilliant win from Andrew. We need more of that. He's got a nice point on the board, and let's see if he can get a roll going. He needs to get a roll going now.
And point very well taken that Andrew, when he has even a time deficit, how quickly he plays, it's a sight to behold. And he was able to win that game. He kept enough time on the clock and found the killer blow. And in this game, Magnus just kind of playing this slowly. He's giving away a pawn to open up some lines. And bishop takes d6, queen takes d6 to follow. The e6 pawn will be tender.
I think Andrew doing the right thing, being brave. Yeah, you're right. Though. This is lovely. Nearly. It was close.
Oh my goodness!
It does work. Does it work?
I'm just shocked at all moments when moves like that happen. Like here's a queen a4. I wasn't even looking in that direction. I was looking along the c file, and well, Andrew's done well to hold on here. The knight takes f5. That's a good shot from Magnus, but what in the world? We're an opposite color bishop rook endgame where white's pawn structure is better.
Yeah. I mean, that again, it's going so quickly. I mean, white is better here because white's got the potential to get a passed pawn. So you see the pawn on the right-hand side. Okay, it's still a little bit better for white, but should be a draw. There goes the passed pawn. Going to come down to the clock, though. Extra lot of time for Magnus, but I feel that 50 moves should be made here in time.
Yeah, there they are.
Draw. Yeah.
They actually repeated the position 3 times, and I was going to say if the colors were reversed, I think Andrew may be able to get that job done and flag Magnus, but the moves were so easy to play. You just move your king back and forth, and so pre-moves were available. And now in this game, we get a London system, Andrew Tang's specialty, and so far looks pretty normal. I think black has escaped the opening without any disadvantage whatsoever.
Yep. And here comes the black pawns moving down the board. I mean, that's the other thing about, I would say like a regular grandmaster. I don't mean that with any disrespect, but not a world champion. And Andrew is nothing. He's not a regular grandmaster. That's the wrong thing to say. But someone who hasn't played in world championship matches, Magnus's openings are just so good because he's prepared for so many of these big encounters with a team behind him, and he's able to swap in and out of certain openings, and he should be okay in most positions. I say that, though. He is playing 1a6 quite a lot in this match, which is a very peculiar opening to play. And here, it's black attacking again, Robert.
It looks like that to my eyes, but Andrew is stopping that attack by playing in the center. That's often how you combat somebody who's going after your king. And I just want to quickly follow up what you were saying, that as regular grandmasters ourselves, no, I think we know what you mean, that our opening preparation, oh gosh, that's a blunder of an exchange there on E3. But even though some games, some openings, oh, that was a mouse slip by Magnus, and he gets away with it because Andrew was pre-moving, and a little smile out of Andrew. But we get away with things in individual games, some moments, openings, but on the whole, people who played in the candidates in the World Championship matches, their opening preparation is much deeper and better. And Magnus, he's looking to pick up this game with the black pieces. He's a rook against a bishop. Those pass pawns are stopped. Simon, this looks like a win for black based on how much time remains.
Yes, another point. Just racking them up at the moment, even after a mouse slip there. Yeah, I mean, it's just a show of class at the moment, the way that Magnus is playing. He loves having the two bishops as well. Magnus, there's little things in his games that you will see happen time and time again. And I think maybe the stronger you get as a player, the more you appreciate having the two bishops. That's why I like having the knights, because I find them trickier. Mm-hmm. And here you can see those bishops working very well to win the exchange. Black has some attacking chances here, though.
And what? Magnus just blundered a bishop on f5 with check. He is not going to... And h6 is an important move because queen takes b4. There are back rank threats. So right now, Andrew is in charge in this game on the board and on the clock. But finding the knockout, not so easy here, because if the queens come off the board, winning from there will be far from simple.
Yeah. You got to win this one. The white king, very weak. Get your dark square bishop in. Maybe g6 as a move here, or g5. That would be quite... maybe it doesn't work so well now, getting on the dark squares. I agree with what you said about keeping the queens on. When you've got the knight and bishop versus the rook, you want to keep the queens on the board, generally, because they're great attackers. And I think now it will be Magnus resigning, and he does, because the queen was about to check white's king, and it's just too exposed there. And
we got a just resign from Simon, and you were spot on. Simon says, and it happens. And this kind of position, I feel like, is nice in bullet, the one we're seeing from the white side here. A7 just dropped, so Magnus didn't take care of his A-pawn, and now it's off the board, and the advantage very heavily in Andrew Tang's favor in this game.
It is, but look at that A-file. I mean... Oh, straight in with a tactic. Does that work, or is it bluff? Another thing I've noticed is that Magnus does bluff occasionally. You know, when things go a little bit wrong, he will play a quick move, confidence, and because he's Magnus Carlsen, his opponents won't always, capitalize on that.
Yeah, you believe the former world champion and the number one rated player in the world for such a long time now. I believe that Andrew will win this game, as he is 2 knights for a rook in the position. He's about to gobble up the queenside pawn, and now his passer just runs.
There's still a chance. I mean, it's not all over. It's 7.5 to 3.5. There's 12 minutes left. Andrew is now getting into a bit of a rhythm. He's playing really well just to get points on the board against this horrendously strong player. And if he wins this one, well, it's still doable, still possible.
He needs to win this one because Magnus is trying to catch up on the clock. But finally, the rook's under attack. The g6 pawn, the b6 pawn is passed. So that was a resignation. Andrew gets it. It's a 3-point deficit now, and Magnus. It shows that, hey, there are times where he missteps, and Andrew was able to scoop up that bishop on f5 with check and then win the game.
Yep, important win there. He's getting a bit more into the match now, Andrew. His confidence is growing, and you need to have that. In this one, we see Magnus playing with a knight instead of the bishop, but he has a nice compact pawn structure, no weaknesses in white's position, and maybe black's pawns are even a little bit overextended. There you go. 1 pawn drops, and there could be some more exchanges here. But is that A pawn going to drop? It does drop. So a pawn up for Magnus.
Clean pawn. And this king on g1, if queens were on the board, we say maybe black can get an attack on the light squares. But without queens on the board, there's no checkmating threats. And f3 stops all of that before I can even finish my sentence about it.
And the next stage here would be able to... Oh, he just blundered there. Oh dear, mouse slip. 4 points in it.
Yeah. Mouse slips, they happen, especially in Bullet. We saw Danya drop his queen in front of a bishop and lose that earlier because of a mouse slip. So none of these players, it's not a foreign concept to them, but probably a moment that Andrew's like, can I mouse slip later today? Not in my match against Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah. You always mouse slip when it's the worst possible time as well, I found. You don't mouse slip on like move 1 where it doesn't matter. It's always when you're winning and you drop a queen. And here, well, again, look at Black's pieces. Black has won a piece with that pin, and the Black King is very safe, so there's not really any compensation, and that's why Andrew resigns, just to get on with the next game. I love the use of the King's Gambit. I play the King. I'm one of the only Grandmasters who still plays it. You mentioned Bobby Fischer playing the King's Gambit. I think the most famous world champion was Boris Spassky. He won every single game he played in the King's Gambit. Played it against great players. And you can play these openings still, even at the top level.
Yeah, I mean, Magnus and Hikaru also, he dabbles with the King's Gambit and played it for a long time, but this is terrible. This is why you don't play the King's Gambit, is because your king is still in the center, and Black is happily up a pawn, and you could probably just start taking things, and the knight on e4 is in trouble. This is just game over.
It should be, yeah. Bishop g6, a class move. Yeah, it is game over, Robert. You're right, and a nice little touch there at the end. Really good play from Andrew. He's spotting the tactics there very quickly.
It's now a clean exchange with the safer king, and Magnus, he shouldn't resign. And he's taking a drink of water. He'll probably let his time elapse. Look at how much time is left in this match. 8 minutes and now about to be 40 seconds. He did resign. Wow, as soon as I said that he resigned, he could have let that time go.
He is super confident, Robert. I mean, he just wants to win more games. He's confident in his ability. He's thinking, I don't need to do any of these tactics. I'm just going to win more games. And I want to know what he's singing. At least we've got a question for the interview, right? What music is he listening to? And what's he singing? Anyone got any predictions in the chat? What will Magnus say he's listening to?
You're asking for it, Simon, by getting the chat involved about what he's listening to. We're going to get some funny answers.
Yeah.
But I am actually curious. We heard Bortnick say he likes to listen to rock music and just different, whatever he's vibing to at the moment. But right now, Magnus in this game, up and outside pawn, king very safe. The e-pawn advances, and those hanging pawns in the center, they can be strengths if you can get them going, and they take away squares from enemy pieces, but they can also be dangling and weaknesses.
Yeah. And it's weird. There's too many knights in this position for me to be able to work out what's happening. But there goes the exchange. Even though the exchange is gone, Black's knights, they're holding a lot of squares. Very good play so far. And there it goes. Andrew wins another one. So he's keeping himself just about in the match.
And Magnus was really unhappy about that. I see that Michael Jackson beat it. Shout out there. Guardians of the Galaxy music. See, I told you to just get ridiculous answers.
Yeah, I know. I was asking for it, as you said there, Robert, a little bit too much, wasn't I? So I was setting myself up. Barbie girl, I've seen...
He's listening to Hikaru's stream. That's a really good answer by Fi-D.
Okay, we see him in this game using tactics a little bit more. Just to run the clock down. Now, there's 6 minutes 46. And the score is 3 in it. So, okay, Andrew needs to win a game or two to make this interesting.
And no more.
I love this opening.
Yeah, no more.
This.
I would say no more King's Gambit, but he sacked a piece. This is your style.
This is actually supposed to be pretty good for White, and I was thinking, why did in the previous match this wasn't tried out? Because G6 is a little mistake. A3 actually sets up G6 and the sacrifice. It's kind of a very weird, delayed Halloween Gambit idea, and now it's equal material, and there's a big check with the knight misplacing Black's king, but this also looks like a decent way to play. Black's pawns are horribly distorted here.
But I also love what Magnus did there. He just lost the advantage by his follow-up decisions. But instead of going for checkmate or a check that might not have amounted to much, he just ruined his opponent's pawn structure. But Andrew now, if you push this pawn to c3, then the queen comes into a2, and you're just going for checkmate. Queen a2 is still a great move. The c2 pawn is loose. This looks resignable.
Yeah, this is a chance, and it's only going to be 2 points in it. This is where, even if you are Magnus Carlsen, you start to get a little bit nervous. You don't want to lose this big lead. And you can see, I think he swore a little bit there. He's letting his time go down. He's readjusting. Andrew has a chance. He's back in the match. There's 5 minutes to go. Remember, you need to win by 2 points. And if Andrew takes the next one, well, it's game on.
He'll be cutting it to 1. And now you see no more 1a6. He probably going to stop playing the King's Gambit going forward. Magnus is now like, this is getting too close for comfort. Now I need to give my full focus and play more mainline stuff. And I don't think Andrew knows this line nearly as well as Magnus does.
No, it's very hard to know the lines as well as Magnus, who has this team of workers, and this is a very interesting idea. And if Black can stop White from castling, it could be a disaster. And yeah, he puts pressure on that knight. So if White castles, he captures it. And now White can't castle, so White's king is walking a tightrope. But what happened there? Whoa. Did Magnus blunder a piece? I think
yes.
he just lost a piece.
His knight was under attack, the piece of b4, was under attack and just didn't move it. That was strange.
Look at his face, Robert. Oh, if Andrew can keep this together, which, oh no, it's getting messy. Rook b1. Oh, he's fought back into the match. White is completely tied up here.
Wow.
This is a big game, Robert, I feel.
It is, yeah, because if Andrew won, it would be a 1-point match. But now Magnus, he's head bobbing. He's trading pieces if he wants to. He's also up over 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is a massive game because the difference with this one was, as you said, it could be 1 point in the match or 3 if Magnus wins. And Magnus wins to take it to 3 points, meaning that, and look at him, he gives a little laugh there, realising he's very lucky, meaning that Andrew must win this game now with the black pieces, and maybe the next game as well. I mean, this is a must-win scenario, isn't it? This game?
He needs to win this one, and he needs to win the next one, and he doesn't have a choice in the matter. So from the black side of this position, it looks like the pawn structure, not particularly good for either side, but the c7, c6 pawn is harder to get to. That pawn on f3 in particular, down the road, that could be a real weakness that White has to defend.
Yeah, and I love what Black's done with the knight there. The knight finding a great square. Rook takes knight as a threat. So Magnus sacrifices first here. And Black has chances in this one. Chances to get that important win, which he must win.
Yes, but the f-file, that's going to give Black a lot of the action there. With the knight on d3, that is one of the best placed pieces you could possibly ask for.
Yeah, and those two pawns also, Robert, they're coming through the board, aren't they? I mean, two connected pass pawns, very scary here. And the rook now has to give way to the h-pawn with... Okay, maybe that could have been played better.
Yeah, what a find, though. King g6, but now knight f4 kicks the king away, h7 falls, and... it looks like mate, knight e6, rook e7.
I think that could be it. You can see Andrew shaking his head there. There's only 2 minutes left, and Magnus giving a little cheer there. He realises he's through, and maybe a little sigh of relief.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll be complete. Sorry, Rob.
I was gonna say the same thing that you were about to say, so please finish, Simon.
I was gonna say I don't think Magnus will be 100% happy with the way the match went, but I don't know. He sort of hasn't been that clean.
And I think that's why he celebrated, because if he was going to win this match by a large margin, he'd be like, yeah, okay, another day at the office. But the fact that Andrew gave him a serious fight and there were some odd blunders and things of that nature, even in bullet, odd for Magnus, I think that he felt like he was on some rocky terrain. And, well, even in this game, like he was doing just fine, and suddenly he's dropped a pawn in an end game, and his pawn structure is bad. So it has not been a perfect performance by any stretch of the imagination, but that's who Magnus is. Even when he's not playing perfectly, he's still beating stars like Andrew Tang by several points.
Yeah, I mean, he's done enough, I think, in this one, but he needs to play better than this if he's going to beat Hikaru, I would say. If we do see a Magnus Carlsen Hikaru final, I think Magnus will have to play a little bit better because Hikaru is just not going to show any mercy.
He'll have to play better than this to beat Danya tomorrow, right?
Yes.
The way he's played in this match, I mean, Danya beat Andrew Tang by 8 points. And of course, things change day to day and match by match. But the way Danya's been playing in this event, I really think that Magnus will have to improve his play. And, well, I don't know if this last game, maybe it's off in time. It doesn't change the match victor, that is Magnus. So, yeah, this game has concluded. They stopped it. And Magnus is like, why? I'll play another one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, okay, well, Andrew's resigned that one, realising there's no point. It's not going to affect the match at all. And we see Magnus winning that one. And it got a little bit close at one moment, but the stronger player did win. Throughout that match, Magnus was always ahead. And, yeah, a pretty good performance.
Pretty good. 5-point win over